So, Ferb, what'd you think of the movie last night? Yeah, I'm the same way. Wasn't good, wasn't bad. It was right down that middle. You know, had decent characters, decent plots. But overall, I enjoyed myself. But you know what was funny? Did you see the guy's review of it this morning? I mean, did we even see the same movie? Because he had characters that weren't in it. He had plots that weren't part of it at all. And his special effects, they were the most laughable thing of all. I mean, I'd rather have no special effects than do what he did. I mean, we could do a better review of that movie in our sleep. And we'd probably get 100 times more views than him. Anyway. Hey, Ferb, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to make a review of that movie, and we're going to show them exactly how it's done. But first, we're going to need a lovable mascot. So, here's Perry. Wait a minute. Where's Perry? Phineas, Ferb, Candace, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, Perry the Platypus, and of course, the entire gang are back. Like they said, we're back. And we're glad they are. This is one of those shows that I loved. Maybe I wasn't exactly the target audience when this first came out, but it was one of those shows I accidentally saw the first episode for. I wasn't intending to watch it when it premiered. I wasn't excited for it. I just happened upon it. And I'm glad I did because I love this show. It's fun. It's hilarious. It's got great music. The characters are great. I can do a whole separate video about why I love this show. And I probably will. But I saw everything. Most of the episodes, I saw all the specials, I saw Across the Second Dimension, and now we got a brand new Phineas and Ferb movie only on Disney Plus, and it has everything. It has new things, it has the things we loved. This is a perfect meld of what makes Phineas and Ferb so good. Like I said, we're back, and I have to agree because Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe is fantastic and definitely worth watching. So, let's dive into the best day ever. Trying to figure out where to start when talking about this movie is really difficult because there's so much about it that is just fantastic. But I think the best place to start will be one of the things that Phineas and Ferb is known for most, and that's the music. And I love this music. It's so good. It fits right in with the normal series. It feels like it's just continued on from there. And it's funny, it's engaging, and actually it has a lot of meaning to it. This music, I just could not get out of my head. From the minute I finished watching the movie the first time, and yes, I watched this twice in 2 days, I had that music stuck in my head. I just kept looking it up on YouTube. I just kept listening to it. And while there were certain songs I liked more than others, over time, all the music has grown on me. But here's the thing. I think this music, to a certain degree, is a little bit better than the music in the show. And that's because while there were moments in the show when the music really meant something, like whether it was in Summer Belongs to You, or even Roller Coaster the Musical, there were songs that meant something and made you think about stuff. This movie has some of the best music when it comes to that for me. Let's start first with the song called Adulting. Yes, it's called Adulting. And this song is just hilarious. Especially for me, considering how many times around this house we have used that term. And I don't care what Ferb says. It is a verb as far as I'm concerned. But while there's so much humor in this song, and it's just so funny to watch Isabella and Doofenshmirtz compete against each other, it does actually make you think, wait a minute. So I'm older since I watched the original series. But I do know a lot more, but do I know what I need to know? It really does make the point that when you get older, yeah, you know a lot more. There's a lot more you have to worry about. But there's also things that you forget. Things that maybe you never learned. And just because you're older doesn't mean you know everything. Now, before anybody who knows me decides to type something in the comments, yes, I admit I'm like this too. I think I know a lot, but there's still plenty of things I don't, even if I don't want to admit it. But for me, the biggest and best song in this movie definitely has to be the finale with Us Against the Universe. I don't know how many times I've listened to that song. It just struck a chord with me right here. Whenever I'm feeling down since this movie's come out, if I listen to that song, it can pick me right back up. It's the type of song that we need right now. This whole movie feels like something we needed right now as well. And I'm sure they started making this before the pandemic hit. But you just can't help but think, this is perfect. It's talking about today. And it also stresses things that I've believed in for a very long time. Whether that's, yes, family is family, but friends are family too. Even if they're not biologically related. Some of the people I care about the most are my friends. And I'm willing to do just about anything for them. Talks about how no matter how hard life knocks you down, you got to get right back up. You got to fight. There's always hope. There's always somebody there who's got your back, no matter what, because you've got the strength to fight. And yes, I know I need to hear that message a lot. And that's why I listen to the song a lot. And it always helps. Moving on, the characters, they're still there. You still got Phineas and Ferb building stuff. You still got Candace trying to bust them. You got Doof and Perry fighting each other. But that is a small part of it. This is an evolution for the characters. Yes, we've seen it in the show. But without giving anything away, Phineas, Ferb, and Candace, especially Candace, really has an overarching story, and they really evolve. And I hope that if by them saying we're back means we're getting more Phineas and Ferb, I hope they take this over with them to the next season, if that's what it means. Now, that doesn't mean I don't want Candace to stop trying to bust her brothers. It just means I want things to flow. Then, of course, that leads us to the story itself. The story itself is a very good one. It's very meaningful, even for somebody like me who hasn't had a brother or sister that they've grown up with. Yet, even though I don't have that, I can still relate to these characters because of friends I've known, because of people I've grown up with. It's just a great story. It's very solid. It's told very well, and it's entertaining, and it's funny. And that's what you need. This movie could not be serious the whole way through. It had to have those moments where it was just pure hilarious. And that was one thing the show did really well too. Yeah, I wish I could build a roller coaster in my backyard. I wish I could build a beach in my backyard every day and it would disappear and then I could do something new and grand. But we can't. And that's what this show allows us to do. That's what this movie allows us to believe, that anything is possible. And, okay, I got a little off subject there because that's more about the series. But this show just continues that through. Believing that there's more life out there. Believing that you do matter. No matter what. You might not matter, to the person next door. Maybe not. You might not even know them. But you matter to somebody. You matter to friends. You matter to family. And that's, like I've said, that's what this movie is really about. Yes, it still has all the fun and the hilariousness and the characters that we've grown up with and we've loved about this show. But this movie also took it to another level. And honestly, I think it took it to a theatrical level. Because I was watching this movie and I was just like, this would have been great on the big screen. Because we've never had a Phineas and Ferb movie in the main movies. We've never seen it on the big screen. I've never paid at a cinema to see a Phineas and Ferb movie. But this just has that quality. The story is that good. The characters are that solid that this deserved to be in theaters. Now, I don't think it ever was intended to, but I would have loved to have seen it on the big screen because, like I keep saying, it's just that good. It doesn't feel like a cartoon. It doesn't feel like it's totally connected to the series, which I have said it is. And it does, especially if you're a fan of the show. But this movie is so good that it could stand alone on its own. And I think anybody could appreciate it. And part of that also comes from the animation. The animation overall, very solid. It looks good, it plays well, and that's one of the reasons it has a movie level feel to it. But as with anything, no movie, regardless of what we might say, is perfect. There's always something small that might not be right with it. So, let's move on and look at the middle ground and the negatives of Phineas and Ferb. Hate to say it, but they're there. With a lot of the things that I've put into the middle ground or into the negatives, they're things that originally started out this way, but since then have become a positive for me, or they're things that I've overlooked because they're not that big of a deal to me. Or they're things that, really looking at it, I bet die-hard fans will probably complain about, because I admit it, I've complained about stupid things when it comes to fandoms before, even though I hope I'm getting better at it. So let's start off with the middle ground. And right here, I'm going to put the music. Yes, I do love the music, but it wasn't always like that. The first time I watched this movie, as I was watching it, some of the songs really stood out for me. Whether that's the opening number, which is Sunny Day, I believe it's called, or Adulting, like I've mentioned, or Us Against the Universe, like I said. But there were other ones that I just didn't really care for, or I didn't want to listen to again. Whether that was Perry's song about the unsung hero, Candace's and the Alien Queen's song about Girls' Day Out, I believe it's called. These songs were just mediocre to me. And I always wanted more upbeat, go get 'em music for Phineas and Ferb. I was still thinking about the music that I remembered from Across the Second Dimension. And for the most part, with one exception, the music for that movie was really upbeat. And it was really enjoyable. It was funny. It was hilarious. And I didn't get that with all these songs at first. Until I started to really think about it and I saw the film again. And I realized I didn't need that. This music was exactly what this movie needed. It was telling a story while still having fun. So yes, the music's grown on me and I love it. But there was a time where it was in that middle ground. And I can see that maybe annoying certain people to a degree. Finally, we come to the one negative thing about this movie. And for me, it's not a negative. But as a fan of many different properties, I would feel remorse if I didn't at least mention this and give diehard fans just some heads up about it. And that's the structure of the movie. Now, in the series, every episode was pretty much the same structure with a few differences thrown in there. We started off with something happening that would spark Phineas and Ferb to decide, they're going to do this today, which would then lead us to Where's Perry? And we'd find out what Perry was going to be up to. Then you'd have a couple segments of them building whatever they're doing, them having fun with whatever they're doing, Candace trying to figure out ways to bust them, mixed with Perry fighting Doofenshmirtz and that whole plan segment. Finally ending with whatever it was disappearing, Candace trying to bust them for it and failing. Now, this movie does have part of that. You do see this formula at least in the beginning of the movie. So it's still there. But that's not what this movie is about. It's not about the formulaic thing we've come to expect from the series. And that's why, for me, it's not a negative. It's its own standalone movie. You can watch this thing and it doesn't matter if you watch the series or not. You're going to have a good time with it. But if you've watched the series, yes, like I said, you might have some gripes because of that. But there's a lot of things in here that you'll pick up as a fan. Whether that's with Candace's first song, mentioning specific things from the series, like the Pelican Plane, or building robots of themselves. Which luckily I had just seen a couple of those episodes, so they were all fresh in my mind. Or seeing a poster on the stadium for the Ducky Momo movie, or for Love Handle, or just some random person in the crowd that we've seen once before. And if you watch the follow-up series, Miles Murphy's Law, there's things from that show in here as well, because they're in the same universe. So if you're a fan, there's definitely a lot more in here for you to pick up on. But, like I said, if you're diehard and it has to be exactly like the show, it's not going to be. So do I recommend Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe? Duh! I love this movie. There's just so much to enjoy. I've said basically everything I possibly could about this movie. It has something for everyone. It's got something for the fans. It's got something for the occasional watcher. And it has something for newbies that probably will get them to go and watch the series, which also is available on Disney+. So you've got the entire library right there. This movie just had everything I wanted. And there was so much in it I didn't realize I wanted, or didn't realize was actually needed. Maybe going into it, maybe I thought the music needs to be like this. Maybe I thought, okay, I want it episodic like the episodes were. But it's not. It's a movie with these characters in it. And I really can't think of anything else, whether that's good or bad, to say about it. So, the rating for this one is really tough for me, because I don't know whether to give it a good grade or a great grade. But when you look at the quality of it, when I compare it to other animated movies that you could watch, compared to some of the animated movies we've gotten on the big screen, I can't help but say I give this movie a mentor, because it's just that good. If you want to watch it just for fun, you got it. If you're looking for something a little bit deeper, you've got it. If you're looking for just some fun songs, you've got it. You want interesting characters? Geez, let me see. It's got it. I think anybody can enjoy this movie. That's why I've been giving it the rank of mentor, because I definitely think you should check this one out. But what do you think about Phineas and Ferb, Candace Against the Universe? Was it the best Phineas and Ferb thing ever? Was it really good? Was it right down the middle? Or does this thing have nothing to do with Phineas and Ferb? It's in its own universe. You want nothing to do with it because it is not Phineas and Ferb. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that last one. And if this is your first time exposed to Phineas and Ferb, what did you think? Does it make you want to go and watch the series now? Have you started to? Don't forget to comment on all of this down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until we have the next best day ever, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time. Grrr.
I've got you boys now. You are so busted. Just wait until Mom sees what you're doing.
Mom, Phineas and Ferb are making a movie review.